Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Anthony Picente Jr. is our guest. We're going to be talking about county issues because he is the United County Executive, and there's lots to talk about, including the Nexus Center, and there's a lot of money in the state budget, and we're going to talk about that and all kinds of other things. But before we do that, we're going to say welcome. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Double back at you. The state budget had $22 million in it, earmarked for the Nexus Center. Number one, what is the Nexus Center?
The Nexus Center is a multiplex sports complex with would have three additional sheets of ice for tournament play hockey. The sheets of ice also, the fields could also be converted into soccer if the need be and as necessary. Indoor, all
and
indoor,
lacrosse, right?
And lacrosse, all indoor, obviously, with locker rooms and other facilities. There are other issues or other amenities that as we go forward we'd like to do. Perhaps some fitness center and some other concessions and the like. But the concept behind Nexus is adding the sheets of ice, which is something we really talked about. I know you know for a number of years. Yeah. We always talked about one. Well, we have room to do three, and now we have a commitment from the state to meet us halfway on the funding.
And this is right on the old Abeloff property.
Right on the old Abeloff Tartan Textile. Over the last several years, and 3 sheets of ice, enough room for numerous, I forgot how many locker rooms, because you're cycling teams in and out on a regular basis, on a weekend basis. So the intent is, while you have 3 sheets, you can have up to probably 64 teams in the course of a weekend that are rotating in and out of there. We know that the market for youth hockey of all ages, really, up to early collegiate and into collegiate hockey, is such that there's a great market for a spot in New York State and in upstate New York. The nearest multiplex rink like that is in Marlborough, Mass., which has 9, I believe now, and they've expanded over the years. They started with 4. So we're kind of starting with 4 too, because we have the Adirondack Bank Center as the anchor, and then we'll have these three other rinks along with it. So all in all, it'll be connected in a way to the auditorium.
How will it be connected?
Probably a walkway or some on that side. We haven't finalized
there's
those
a street
designs.
there right
There's a
now.
street. Well, that'll be closed. We've been working, and the audit authority has been working with the city to close that section of Charles Street, because that is the connection. It's closed on game nights now, so it's really a street that can be forgiven in that regard. And so we'll do that, and we'll build Nexus and see and go from there. And
the state budget has earmarked $22 million, but the county has to come up with money. Some people think they have to come up with matching, but it's more than that.
Well, it's matching. The state budget agrees to $22 million, up to $22 million, or 50%, whichever is less. So as we develop Nexus and look at the model of what we want to build, and we've been looking at different scenarios depending on what we build in this first phase, if you will. So 44 is on the higher end. If we could do it for less, we'll do it for less, and make sure that we get the pieces that we want. But looking at it, it's probably in that range of somewhere in the range of $35 to $40 million. The audit authority would be the operator, and the county has worked with the audit, as we did when we expanded and added on to the existing aud, which is now the Adirondack Bank Center at the Utica Memorial Auditorium. And we are in the process of determining a funding stream, because some of it will be revenue from what comes in as a part of the tournaments and play that we believe will take place there. But I've got some other plans, and we'll announce those in the next couple weeks about how we're going to meet the other match.
I would say that bonding would probably be
Well,
part of this, yes?
we definitely have to bond. I mean, the Audit Authority, and one of the things we did in last year's legislative session was increase the bonding capacity of the Auditorium Authority to up to $50 million because although that won't be used all in this, it gives them the flexibility as other pieces come into play that we can do. Yeah, everyone thinks that when you get money from the state, in this case in the state budget, that they give you the 22 million. Well, you have to spend the 22 million and then get reimbursed that 22. So while initially that there's bonding and there's bond anticipation notes and the like that recognize that you've got this commitment from the state, so you've got a head start on your bonding as you start the process, and then we can, as we plan out and go forward, we will fill in the gap on how we finalize the rest of the project.
When do you see construction starting?
I'd like to see it as early as this spring, and I think we're on the right track to have that happen. We do have to wait officially for state budget approval, but we're not, we seem very confident on that regarding the commitment from the governor, and we know in our legislative houses. We've had some designs. Now it's a matter of just refining and then going back and making sure everything's in order where we want it, line up our other funding streams in place, and then go out to bid. When
do you see the Nexus Center actually opening for tournament play?
We really believe that a year, for the rink this size or an arena this size with those rinks, that it can be built in a 12-month period.
And what about the auditorium itself, the main building? Now we've got 72 attached to it. Are there any more plans for that building?
Not right now. I think right now the build out that has taken place with the suites and the seating capacity that we have, clearly the upgrades to the building regarding the restrooms and things that needed to be, you had a really very old 60-year-old building, not that old, but 60-year-old, which did not have to comply with what is today ADA and the other requirements of building. I think we're at a point we put $20 million between the state and others into that building that improved, in addition to the suites, in addition to some seating, the other, you mentioned 72, you mentioned the Zetlin room, you mentioned the other box, the staging area, all the things around it, the new lighting, new sound, new HVAC sound system, all that had to be done. So that's in good shape, but we'll see what comes our way. The soccer has been a great addition to that venue, and it's taken off remarkably. And the interesting thing is, if you go like we do to the hockey games, and then you go to the soccer game, you see a totally different crowd. And that's good for us. That's good for the area. That's what we need to do. We need to build upon that attraction. And Nexus, I believe, will not only double that, it'll multiply that by 5 times.
When we come back, I'm going to ask you how the Nexus Center fits in with your vision for that entire area down there. Anthony Picente Jr. is our guest. He's the county executive. Short break, right back.